All right. Week 6 of Agentuity. We've had a really busy week. A lot of really fun stuff. We're going to kick it off with Matt, and he's going to show off some really fun front-end stuff. So I'll kick it off with Matt.
Thank you. All right, so I just want to show some of the UI work we've been doing in the app here. Um, First thing, it was kind of a major annoyance for a lot of us as we were using the app. We did end up fixing the sidebar. So if you collapse the sidebar, you refresh or come back to the app later, it's going to stick in the collapsed state when you come back to it, or stick in the open state. So a lot of little things like that throughout the app that we've sort of improved and continue to make a little bit better for everybody. Um, One of the big things that I spent some time this week on is really sort of cleaning up a lot of the UX around all of our different list pages. And I can show you here what we've done with the session page. So the session page now has filters built into it. You can come in here and you can pick, anything that was okay or anything that was in error state, filter on session ID, agent name, give it a date range as well. The other thing we did is, pagination, kind of annoying. So if you see here, you can kind of see the scroll bar a little bit. We've got the infinite scroll on now, so you just slide through all of your sessions and quickly look at anything you need to inspect. So additionally, in the session detail screen, so you click on one of these, it'll fly out, or you can just come actually straight to the page. We've improved a lot around the timeline here, so everything's properly color coded now, so you can quickly visually see what the waterfall of all these different calls is. Um, and now also, if you click into any of these, especially ones that are errors, I don't have any right now, but if you have any errors, it'll throw a bunch of information in here so you can see exactly what's going on. Deployment screen, again, same thing. We've gone through infinite scrolling. We've added the filters here. We'll continue to add more filters as we start to build out some more content inside of these columns, which is coming soon. We've also added additional filter capability here to the log, where now if you set a date, so I'll just go pick a date in the past. My computer's running a little slow right now, running too much in the background. But you'll see now we actually store all these filters for all these different pages in the URL. So you can send somebody something that's filtered just specifically to a message or a time frame or whatever else for deployment sessions, agents, logs, etc. So it'd be a lot easier to pass this content around and get people looking at what you want them to look at. Additionally, we've got logs now coming out in this sheet. The next step is to do what we do with sessions, which is not only is it a sheet, but you could actually go specifically to the logs, and you can send a specific log to one of your coworkers. So that'll be a lot better. After that, we finally got the agent screen built out, and this is available now, so you can see some details. We'll continue to add more information to the screen. You can see your recent sessions for this agent. The other, I think, kind of cool thing that we did is we did this IO visualizer here. And what it's showing is all of the inputs and the outputs from this agent. And you can hover over this, you can see, okay, this is getting input from an agent and from SMS and webhook, and it's outputting the response to Slack. You can click on this, so we'll click on webhook, and you can see here is the information on how to interact with that webhook, and we'll have this for all the different IOs as well. So you can, from right here, just go test them out, or if you're in dev mode or if you're in live mode, production mode, you can actually start sending data to it and use these things in your code. And then the last thing is a lot of improvements around the live mode, the dev mode. We've made it so that now the logs and the sessions are down here, so you have a bit more real estate, and you can resize this as well now, so you can sort of put your focus where it needs to be depending on whatever it is you're working on at that moment. If you want to be looking at logs, or if you would rather just see a lot of the response data, for instance. And we've also built out the ability now to specify what the input type is. So if you're doing JSON, it'll give you the formatting errors, but it won't if you're doing text, right? So yeah, a lot of improvement throughout the app. We're continuing to just refine and make it easier for you to find the information you need and get around the application. So with
That
that, I'll pass it. Go ahead.
That little type picker thing, JSON, text, whatever, in dev mode, I probably use that 1,000 times this week. That is so useful because I have the content marketing agent form that we built. The moderator or manager agent takes in JSON structured or freeform text, so you can be like, hey, I want a campaign about whatever, or I can send it JSON. And so being able to like just toggle that and drop it in there is super useful.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Cool.
All right, I'm gonna hand it off to Bobby.
Yep. Here we go. So the first thing this week I worked on was some quality of life improvements with the dev mode, the CLI specifically. So you used to have to, if you change the code, you'd have to kill the command and rerun it every single time. But now if you change the code, we have a file watcher, so it'll rebuild your app and your changes will happen instantly, and you can test them out in that UI that Matt just showed. So that was a small improvement. And then the other thing I was working on was the GitHub integration that I mentioned last week. So here we have the GitHub integration already connected, and we can see that we have this basic agent repo connected to our organization. So we can come in here and make a commit on this repo. Just basic update the text file. And we can come over to our projects, deployments. Let's refresh this real quick.
There's a reload button now. Top right.
Here's a reload button. There we go. It came in. So now it's building. It's gotten in our system. This should be pretty quick. There we go. So your new deployment's here, and you don't have to run the Agentuity deploy command anymore. You just have to push to your main branch. Coming up, we have, for this feature in particular, you'll be able to change some of the specific settings, right? So if you want to auto deploy, or you can select a different main branch and then configure specific repos through Agentuity UI instead of configuring them through the GitHub UI. So that's coming this weekend. That's it for me.
All righty, I'll go next. I did a lot of non-visual backend infrastructure things this week, but I did do one bug that I thought I would just demo. Hopefully demo's okay. Let's see here. So it was a nasty bug. Let me just clear this out. It was a nasty bug. I'm gonna create a project. Let's just create a test bug project. And then what I'm going to do is, I'll just do it Bon. It doesn't really matter. Also, one of the nice things you can see, it's also remembering now. So the CLI remembers the last runtime, the last template you used. So that's kind of nice too. But let me say test agent 1. And so there's a little bit of nice improvements around the CLI. What I'm going to do now is the bug was, so let's go into this test bug. So I've got a normal project. Let's say I want to add another agent. I'm going to add a couple of different agents. So I'm just going to agent create another agent. Let's say test agent 2. If I could spell, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to turn these off. And then I'm going to create another one. Let's just do test agent 3. The bug was our colleague Rick went to agent remove. So first of all, if you look in the Agentuity YAML at the bottom, you've got your 3 agents. Great, that's all correct. I can do Agentuity agent list, and I should see all my agents. Everything looks fine. I should be able to also remove my agents if I want to delete my agents. The bug was he selected, I believe, one of the agents, not all 3 of them, or multiple agents. He only selected one, and it deleted everything. So that was an actual bug. And that's a really bad bug because you don't necessarily want it. And it deleted not just the agents in the cloud. Actually, in this case, I think it actually had a bug where it didn't delete them correctly in the cloud. It left them in the YAML, and then it deleted them on disk, though. It removed everything in its source directory, which is clearly not, that's dangerous. We don't want that, even if you use GitHub or Get. So let's say I want to delete these 2 agents, so you can select them. So now there's obviously the confirmation, but we also have an additional set of confirmations now. So it'll say okay, so we deleted them from the cloud, from our system, but do you want to delete them locally? So you can, let's say you don't want to delete them. Maybe you're want to keep them around and you're going to rename them or something like that. You don't want to delete them, so you can uncheck them and it won't delete them. Or let's say I do want to delete them, so you can select the ones you want, and then it'll also, as a third fail safe, it'll also copy everything into your backup, a temporary backup folder. So just one last fail safe. We will delete them. It does put them in the .agentuity build folder, which obviously gets wiped every time you redo a build. But like, just in case you went, oh gosh, I didn't even realize that was going to do, we did copy those 2 agents there. Small quality of life. All right, pass it to Rick.
All right. Let's do fire screen 2, share screen. Boom, boom. All right. So I'm going to demo 3 different agents or agent swarms that I worked on, and it was both for internal work, but also they're going to be example apps or example agents, like full form, full featured agents. So the first one is the content marketing swarm. So this one we have the manager, the copywriter, and the scheduler. And so the way it works is you send in a request like, hey, we need to do a campaign about, XYZ, AI agent testing or whatever. And then you give it a link, you can give it a description, whatever. You can just free form text, send it in. The manager will take that in, do a few things like, have we done this before? A couple other checks. And then once it's ready, it'll pass it off to the copywriter, and the copywriter will write the copy. And then once that's done, the scheduler picks it up. And actually, we integrate with Typefully. The scheduler agent does. And so it'll send it off as a draft into Typefully with it scheduled. And it's kind of cool because it'll take it and it'll spread it across a few days. So it'll generate 4 or 5 tweets, a couple LinkedIn posts, and it'll like one for this day, one for this day, one for this day. So that's all. I'll show some of the code in a minute. So like I'll do the web first. So if I click into the manager agent, I'll show you an example session here. Oops. So you can see that manager, copywriter, scheduler, just kind of like sequential. Takes about 43 seconds for the whole thing to run. And you can click in and see different things. So like this right here, you can see the prompt that we pass it. You are a helpful assistant, blah, blah, blah. And then you can see what was generated and all this kind of stuff is really cool. There's a couple LLM calls it makes. This is one of them. You can see the other ones here. Then we're using key value to store the campaigns, and we check them. That's what these tracing objects are. And then after we're here, you can see there's an Agentuity redirect, and then you can see where it redirected to. It's kind of cool. All right, so that's that. And then I don't think I need to show anything else in there. And then I'll just kind of show you some of the new stuff that Jeff worked on the SDK because we're using it. So this is the copywriter agent. So what happens is when you pass something, like when I said the manager passes the copywriter stuff, there's a request object, kind of similar to like, Next or Express or whatever. And so request object data has a bunch of stuff on it. It has, you can do binary, buffer, you can check the content type. So in this case, I'm passing it JSON. And so you'll see I'm pulling out the JSON here, and then I'm looking for the campaign ID, and I'm looking it up. So our KV store, I'm going through and I'm looking up this KV store, which actually I'll go ahead and show you real quick, just so you see what that looks like. There's our campaigns, there's this campaign. So it's going through in our key value store, and it's pulling out this campaign. So it's pulling that out, doing a couple things, updating it, and then I'll scroll down here. It's making an LLM call. We're using Claude 3.7 for this. And so it's like, hey, write me a LinkedIn post. And then there's also a Twitter one. Write me a Twitter post. It's kind of cool. And then that's all that tracing data you saw. That's what it's doing. It's doing all this stuff, and it's kind of cool. It's automated. One thing I want to mention, I forgot to mention, which is really cool. We were using, so the manager looks at your request and it normalizes it. So you say, hey, I'm doing this AI testing thing, and here's a link to it, and I want to talk about it in the next week, and this is what my opinion is, whatever, right? So it takes that and it does a couple things. But one of the things that it does is, let me show you here, this enrich request data. So it'll take it, it'll take whatever you say and it'll create a topic, a description. It'll try to extract a published date. And if there's a source URL, it'll point to it. But I was using the Sonnet, called Sonnet 3.7. But really all I'm doing is just taking this and creating structured data. I'm just extracting what you already said and I'm mapping it. So that takes about 8 seconds in Claude Sonnet. But if I'm using Grok, which you can see here, Grok, Llama 3.7, it takes, I think it's like 800 milliseconds or 700 milliseconds for the same exact thing. And it's just as good. You don't need like heavy reasoning for it. You just need to take this structure and map it into this structure, right? Really simple. So it's really cool because I dropped this in here. I didn't sign up for Grok. I didn't have to drop in any keys. I'm just like, let me just try this model out. And I ran it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's 800 milliseconds instead of 7 seconds. All right, I'm going to go with that. So that was pretty cool. All right, so that's the marketing agent. Let's see what else we got. Newsroom agent. Let's go back to projects. Newsroom. So this one is our AI. Internally, we have this agent that every day goes out and looks for the latest AI news and drops it in Slack and lets us know what it is. And so it creates a summary, title, paragraph with links to all the latest news. And then it creates a podcast transcript and then a podcast voice using 11 Labs. And then we get a podcast out of it, which is kind of cool. So that's what this is here. There's nothing really to show code wise, but worked on this one as well. And then finally, the other one I did, which is actually in our other org. Let me switch to it real quick. Projects, change log. This one is really cool, and I am going to show you the code for this one. So it's really simple. We have one agent for it, and what happens is on any kind of GitHub webhook that comes in that's for a release or a tag, it wakes up, does a couple things, and then we send it to Devin, and then Devin writes the change log for us, which is super cool. So the way that works is, where's the change log at? Right there. It's really simple. The request comes in. We use Grok again with that Llama 3, which is so good, for just taking it and saying, hey, is it a supported repository? Extract out the release or the tag and a couple other things. And now I want to point out, we're literally passing in the webhook payload minus a couple things. So we're not deterministically saying, pull this out, but not this, but do this. We're just saying, here's a payload. These are the things we care about. We're going to add it to our change log. Agents go do that, right? So we're doing that. So it goes through, does it. We keep track of the change log stuff we do in that KV store, which is cool. And then we do use Anthropic to write the change log. And so that's where it goes through. It's actually kind of funny. We write a prompt for Devin and we pass the prompt to Devin to then write the change log. So we're having an agent write a prompt to pass to another agent to write the change log, which is what we're doing. And we're using the Devin API and it goes off and it does its thing. It looks like it just ran here recently. Oh, it was a push event. You can see Devin or the AI agent there was smart enough to go, hey, this was just a push event, has nothing to do with the release or tag. And then it just ignores it. It just stops right there. And by the way, we're using Grok with Llama here because this is, again, we're checking, is this something we need to do a release about or not? You don't want to use an expensive model call for that when we can use this and it comes back in like 500 milliseconds or whatever. So pretty cheap to do that. Pretty cool. All right, those are the 3 agents I worked on.
Can we see the changelog? What it outputs?
Yeah, can we show the Devin slide since it's open source?
Oh yeah. So let me open up the repo and I'll share it. Well, which one? CLI, SDK, JS?
Do CLI maybe, and then maybe show the docs side as well, so you can show both sides of it.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, let me share my screen again. Entire screen. Screen 2. All right, so CLI, change log. So Devin wrote, I don't know how, I mean, I guess all the latest ones.
Yeah, he wrote all that. And
yeah,
the last several.
Yep. And you notice we got the PRs linked to it. It's great, because then we don't have to do it. You know, the one thing every developer hates is writing this stuff. So awesome. Well, also what's cool is we can in Slack or in the PR tell Devin to add some things. So it is kind of cool that it's automated, but if we want to add some extra flavor to it, or in the PR drop a code snippet and say, hey, add this to it, we can do that and it will add that, which is kind of neat. What else? So then there's
Can you go to the doc side?
yeah, let's do the doc. So that's agentuity.dev.
Well, the PR though. But you can show if you want. Yeah, show this side what it would produce from a here. This is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So then so this is our doc site. It's markdown files, right? So it will also not only update GitHub and the repo there, but it'll also go to our docs repo, update it, and then you can see there's same thing. There's a link to the PRs and all that, but it's in our public documentation website too, which is really cool.
Really, really nice. That saved me. It sounds crazy, but at the velocity we're moving, where sometimes one day we might do 2 or 3 releases across the different components. It's just a lot of work to remember. And the agent now just does it all. All we have to do is approve the PR, which hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be at a point where we can just have it merge on the fly, YOLO mode. We can merge it away, baby. And we'll have an agent that'll watch it to do like the QA validation, which is what we're doing right now. And we're getting some, me and Rick are kind of giving it feedback, but like and reincorporating some of that in the prompt. The hope is, like we can even potentially build that into an agent as well. But there's QA, things like QA agent. But anyway, great week, everyone. And we'll see you next week. If you're not on the private preview, please go to the website, join our Discord, ping us if you want to get in. We've got a long list we're trying to work through slowly. And we've already given it to a number of people, but hopefully we'll start opening it up more in the next week or 2. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.